Hey. Welcome to another episode of This Shit's Hard podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Biscuiti.
And I'm Jen, aka Rumblebum. Thank you for joining us.
All right, we have Chynna in the building. Hey. Chynna Perkins.
Well, technically it's Ratner. I didn't legally change my last name.
Okay, we were wondering.
That was the question. Extra pause.
Yeah, no. I kept my last name.
Oh, what does the man say about that? Does he care?
In the beginning, he was confused, and then I was like, "But this is my identity. You know, why do I have to change that for you?" Mm-hmm. I was me before you, and I will continue to be me with you.
Yes.
And after you.
And he loves you. He loves who you are.
He's amazing.
And plus, he's like, just change that shit on Facebook and LinkedIn, and like everybody assumes anyway. So
right. They do assume.
I don't need to change it legally.
Perfect.
Love that.
Yep. We love that. Well, welcome to This Shit's Hard podcast.
We can already tell what kind of woman Chai is.
We love this.
She's a woman's woman.
She is a woman's
through and through.
And so Rumblebum, This Shit's Hard podcast co-host, is going to be taking the lead on this because you brought Chai into this world. I am so glad that you introduced us because, Chynna, you're an amazing human.
Oh.
And I'm so happy that we're now friends.
I love when she flirts with me.
I'll flirt with you till the end, girl.
Yeah.
No, it was a long time coming via, the interwebs.
The
interwebs.
Yes.
Where I actually followed Nicole in the Chesty in like the real beginning.
Cool.
Super beginning of her doing all of it, because I was super into CrossFit at the time. And that's how I found Jen. And, how many years later is that now since you started?
Almost 9.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a long time coming.
Really, it's a long time coming.
This is great. And I think that one of Jen's superpowers is creating relationships. Mm-hmm. Like she really makes them come into fruition.
Yeah.
She kind of manifests. She's like, I'm going to be friends with that kind of energy.
Yep.
And then she just makes it happen because you said, we connected. However, who made it happen? It was Jen.
It's always Jen.
Yeah. Always Jen.
I don't remember when we started following each other.
I'm pretty sure I followed you because I saw you with Nicole and I was like, she looks like fun and does CrossFit.
She is in fact a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then you were friends with one of my best friend's husbands who went to your CrossFit gym.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God, our worlds are so small, but we've never seen each other in real life.
Small worlds. And then I started working with your man.
Yeah. Yep.
Wait,
so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So really hired her.
Yeah,
with
he
some
hired
real estate
me.
stuff.
Stop.
He was here. Yeah, remember?
I do.
And you were like, who is
that.
Sterling?
Yeah.
His name. And I was like, oh my God, my friend Chai. And they're this cutest couple. And so, and then.
Can confirm you are the cutest couple.
Can confirm you're the cutest couple.
And
cutest couple. Cutest couple.
Forever flirting with you.
Forever. So we're going to just get right into it. With Chai, she's been very gracious. And being here, coming all the way from Tampa, flying in, flying out like a true boss, like a true G.
Boss.
She's a boss.
$78 on Spirit.
Yeah, she is a G. She's rolling in the plane, heading back out today.
She ain't got time to do an overnight, people.
No, she ain't got time for that shit.
No.
We will say there will be a trigger warning on this episode just for those before we get into everything because we are going to be talking domestic violence, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, everything that goes along with that. And so it's a huge energy exchange. I'm already starting to tear up and I don't know why.
That's okay. I mean, we talked about crying yesterday. Actually,
cried, full on cried. Yeah.
And we welcome crying here because it's extremely cleansing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually necessary. And what happens when you hold it in and don't let it go, it actually hurts your insides.
Oh, it does.
It does a lot to your soul. It's not good. So you're welcome to cry. You can use that flannel, girl.
I know. So Nicole might have to take the lead if I'm sitting over here crying.
That's okay.
This
shit is hard.
It's hard. And
Yeah.
one of the important things for me.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed.
That's okay.
I hate cry face, right?
I do too.
I hate cry face because I think of Oprah and I think
like Kim Kardashian.
I think of Kardashian. I think of Kim K. And that horrible meme that she's on crying that is now everywhere because she has horrible cry face.
However, we do a really good Kardashian talk.
I've seen it.
You're gonna have to join us in one of those, by the way.
When we come to Tampa, we're gonna do it together.
we're going to do.
People are dying.
Yeah.
I just did that one.
Anyways, this topic has been, if you've followed me on my Instagram for any amount of time, this topic is extremely important to me. It took me a long time to tell my story. It took me a long time for, or just, putting yourself out there like that is so something that's so vulnerable, because you open yourself up to attack.
Yeah.
And you open yourself up to people who are close to you not believing you, and people turning on you, and family.
Even random shit.
Shit.
Like random people, random
From
shit.
strangers?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know you, but I don't believe you.
And honestly,
Right.
sometimes I think that's the worst, because like if my friends or family, whoever that may be, doesn't believe me, I can cut those people out real fucking quick,
And
like,
she will.
And she
and
will.
Yes, that is one of my things. But like random people on the internet, or like strangers saying
Like,
that shit,
who are you?
like, couldn't you just not say anything at all?
Yeah. No, they can't. They have to say something.
That was the worst part. It's just
Yeah. So
Do you still deal with that?
I don't read any comments.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
that takes a lot of strength,
No,
actually.
I refuse.
That is so powerful.
That's very
To
powerful.
say, no, I'm not going to do
Yeah,
that.
that's very powerful,
Nope.
because a
For
lot
you.
of people,
Spiral.
you do spiral.
You spiral.
You do spiral.
Nothing good comes out of it.
It's
Right.
truth. It's truth. So we appreciate
if you're listening
you.
to that. That's a boundary. That we could all
Boundary,
use.
hard boundary.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
a great boundary that a lot of influencers do not have. And as we watch them spiral because of reading comments. So that's a huge boundary, but we thank you for being here. We thank you for opening up.
Always.
My goal for telling my story, Chai's goal for telling her story, is only to empower other women. Full stop, period. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're just trying to throw someone on the bus. No, if I was trying to throw someone on the bus, we would name, address, here they are. No, it's not about that. It's about saying, hey, you're not alone. You can live a life filled with joy again.
Yep.
And you can find your roots.
And no one can take that from you. And if you felt robbed of that joy, it's your power to take it back.
Right.
To own that.
For sure.
And there's no rules in how you get there.
Right.
You are allowed to do whatever you want to do to get that joy
person's
back.
journey is a journey.
Right.
Regardless of how clean, messy, fucked up, original, copycat it is.
Right.
It's still a journey. And like, I'm never going to tell somebody how to do their own journey. However you get there, great. Good for you. I'm proud of you for getting there. Or even if you're halfway there, happy you're halfway there,
Right. And you're there now. I mean, I'm sure Sterling, your husband, knows your full story. But
shout out #1 fan.
Shout out to Sterling.
Shout out to Sterling. We love him.
so
Dude's
much.
my rock. And
Festival Daddy.
Festival Daddy. We call him
Festival
Festival. We'll
Daddy.
go into that later, but he is Festival Daddy.
Yes.
So if you want to share whatever is on your heart about your story. Yeah.
I'll give you, I don't know, maybe like a quick,
Sure.
maybe
Whatever
some
you
depth.
feel.
Let's see.
Whatever you feel.
So I tried to go over, so I posted a video last year on my Instagram because, of me telling my entire story from start to finish, because I found out through a friend on Instagram one random morning that the guy that I dated, who was a former Hillsborough County Sheriff, had killed himself and his girlfriend on vacation. I think it was in St. Augustine. And I obviously, like, that takes you back because I dated that person. And even though it was only like less than a year, it's, still a super tragic and shocking thing. So I remember I opened up my phone, I saw the Instagram message, and my friend was like, I don't know if you've heard anything, but here's what my significant other, who has cop friends, has told me. So I told Sterling, and I just like sat there in shock. And so I got the story before any of the news people broke the story. Later that day, they finally released the story. They named him and the girlfriend, and they were staying in a beach house with like, I think between 4 and 6 other cops. And they didn't know what happened. Like, they just said that they were both dead. That was it. They didn't know anything else. So I told Sterling, I was like, what do I do with this information, right? Because the last like 6 years, I haven't said anything to anybody. And he's like, well, if you're ever going to tell your story, now is the time. And I was like, okay, well, this feels like I'm capitalizing on a moment, And I from the beginning, when I made the video, I wanted to say that this is not me trying to get my 5 seconds of fame or whatever. This is me telling my story that it may help anybody. It may help her family. It may give some clarity to the police, you know, whatever. So I sat down that night. I bullet pointed my entire timeline of dating this man. And I just recorded a video start to finish. And just sobbed, cried, did the whole thing. And I showed it to Sterling because he was like, I want to see it before it goes up on the internet.
We love Sterling for this.
Yeah. And it was I think it was like a 13-minute video. And
which congratulations for being that concise, actually.
Yeah. And it was very powerful.
Bullet pointed. I've addresses, like time.
She's a planner, people.
Very type A.
Yeah.
And he came out of the garage where he was working out, and he just hugged me, and he was like, you know, I didn't even know 60% of this story. I had never sat down and told him everything that had happened. He goes, you've touched on things, but he goes, that's not my place to like pry out of you. And he goes, I had no idea. Whatever you need me to do, however you need me to be there for you, whatever. He goes, once you put this out on the internet, it's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with him being a Hillsborough County Sheriff, that puts a lot of danger on myself.
Pressure, attention, all of it.
Yeah, good and bad.
And target.
Yep. And so that was my main concern is when I put it out, I was like, okay, well now I put a target on my back and my husband's back. So I will tell you, this is how we first started dating. Not my husband, because that's a great story. This is not a great story.
We'll go into that too, because we love him so much.
So I was 21 and I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I was coming back home. I got in a car accident. My dog ended up passing away in that car accident. It was super sad. And I was on the side of I-4. Both of my parents were in South Africa. And I had to call them, and I was like, hey, I got in this car accident. My car's totaled. My dog is dead. Like, you know, worst day of my life. And since it was on the interstate, it's technically the Florida Highway Patrol's territory. So they came out, and then they called the Hillsborough County Sheriff's people. So I had like 6-7 cars because it was a dual crime scene. One for the dog, one for the car accident. The car that I hit actually drove away, so it was my fault. They gave me a ticket for that, so that was cool.
No, on top of all of that.
Yeah. They're like, by the way, here's your ticket. I was like,
thanks.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Super awesome.
Sick.
So, this last cop car pulls up, and he gets out of the car, and I was like, fuck, of course, like this very attractive man in a uniform. I'm sitting here like wet hair, crying over my dead dog. Like, this is just not, I was like, couldn't you be ugly, please?
Yeah.
And he came over, he gave me his jacket, and he stayed with me until our family friend came and picked me up. And that was about it. And I was like, man, I should really send him like a thank you or something, because that was so nice. And time went on. Around Christmas time, I get he actually called me like 2 days later to check in on me, which means he took down my phone number, my information, and he wasn't the responding officer, which goes against their code of ethics.
Well, he accessed their database.
Well, he wrote it down on his notepad.
Oh.
And then he called me, and that goes directly against like what they're allowed to do.
Right.
Which obviously at 21, like, I don't know that. I'm just like, wow, what a nice guy. No.
Always nice
red
guys.
Flag guys.
Always
red
nice
flag.
guys.
And so then, you know, he messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, I know this is super random. Like, is there any chance you would like to go out sometime? My mom's like, yeah, you should definitely go out. You know, he was so nice, blah, blah, blah. I was like, sure. So we went out. Great guy. Opened my car door. Super polite. Like, you know, great.
Of course.
I was like, check. Wow, good for me.
Oh,
and
green flag.
Yeah, and he was older, and I was like, oh, look at me. Thriving, right? So once we started like dating, it just became very toxic. Like, it became where he couldn't do anything without me. He wanted me around all the time. He wanted me home when he was home. He started like telling me he didn't like my friends, so I would stop hanging out with them. He didn't like what I wore, and he would throw away my clothes when I wasn't home.
Was there like a trend in the type of clothing? Like, he didn't want
anything
revealing.
Right. So like, I was a server, and on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, like, we had to wear revealing clothes because it turned into like a
bar-ish
club.
Sure. So he's out here throwing away your work clothes.
Literally, yeah. And I'm
right.
like, it's not by choice. I want to wear this tight dress to go serve tables. Like,
right. But this is how I make my money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, I'm 21. Like,
right.
I'm even going to be $100 tip. I'm going to be $100
Hell
tip.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know.
Correct.
And,
we got bills to pay.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd be like, wow, where did this shirt go? And I like would literally tear my apartment apart. I'm like, that's so weird. And then it was just like one after another. But I never asked him because like,
you wouldn't
now
think
I
that.
seem crazy, right?
Right.
Are you throwing my clothes away? And
Of
he's
course.
like, no. And I'm like, I know you are, but
Yeah.
you're saying no. So is it just me? Am I losing it? Like,
and that's how it starts, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
you
just like-
slowly feel like you're the crazy one.
exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
And so then I brought him around to meet my mom and her friends one St. Patrick's Day. We went down to Bradenton. We went to Clancy. Shout out the Tiki Bar. And they do this like big St. Patrick's Day thing. It's like all the old people in Bradenton. Great time. And so I brought him, and my mom was like very polite at first. And then she pulled me away to the side and was like, he's got control issues. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't see that.
Moms know. Moms know.
And
Dang, first meeting she knew.
first
Yeah.
meeting. And
Did she give you
that
like
mom
examples
intuition.
of what he was doing?
no, she just said it and she kind of dropped it. And I was like, okay. And all my girlfriends liked him. And I was like, cool. But then after that, like, I never really like went home to see my mom. And I was like, I'm getting pretty isolated. And I didn't realize like how much I was staying at home. And like, it was just him. Like, that was it. It was him or him and his friends. And
But
like,
never your friends.
And you just don't realize it. Like, all of a sudden your entire life changes and like, you're not as social. You're not around your family. You're like, he's going through my phone and my computer and you're like, I'm 21 and I'm like, I'm in love. He's taking care of me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And also as a tidbit, domestic violence does not have an age. Contrary to what people think, like you think of like a mom who has like 2 kids and she's trying to leave her husband or whatever, but like there's no age.
No,
Right.
Like,
there's no age.
it can happen at 9, 10, 15, 21, whatever. Like an unhealthy relationship. And if someone's controlling you in any aspect, that's violence in any sense. So like, just saying. That was, that was a moment for me. I was like, holy fuck, I'm 21 and like
Right.
this happened to me.
Well, now it's impacting your free will.
Exactly. So we ended up breaking up because we just parted ways, and we would hang out every so often. And one night at my apartment, I was like, oh, I really want to go see my friend I haven't seen in a while. They're having a house party. And he's like, fine, you can go, but be back at midnight. I was like, okay, I took it. I was like, you know what? If I get to go out, like if I have to be back at fucking midnight, I will be back at midnight. I will take it.
Let me interrupt you right there because there's going to be people that are like, what do you mean you just took it? And this is what people don't understand about mind manipulation and how slowly it creeps in and how you don't realize exactly what's happening and exactly what world and bubble that you're living in, because I hate when people say, well, why didn't you just leave? Okay, motherfucker, have you ever been in this situation? No, and it's so hard to explain to people why I didn't just leave is such a silly statement that has no validity.
Right.
Anything
toxic in life, they're like, why don't you just leave? And it's like, okay, take a look at your own life and see how much toxic shit you stayed in.
Right.
Just don't pass judgment just because mine was somebody else doing it to me.
And I like that people think that they would be strong enough to just leave.
Yeah, how do you know?
You don't know until
you've never been there.
Abuse doesn't happen overnight.
No,
like her story, it doesn't happen overnight.
It was
happens
magical
slowly.
fairyland, and it was one thing here. And
it's the love bombing. It's a
and,
cycle.
Yeah,
it's a cycle, and it's not bad 24/7.
No, there were moments where I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
Right,
and then I, would go back into depression hole or whatever.
Correct,
but
it's the cycle.
So you're allowed to go to this party.
Yeah. Yep. So I go to the party. I see my friends. Whatever. And I'm like not heavily drinking because, can't be drunk driving back home. And I leave. I get back to my apartment like 5 minutes after curfew. And he is standing outside my apartment, waiting in the parking lot. And so I pull in the parking spot and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen. And I pull in and I look at him and he's like, what the fuck were you doing? Like cursing me out. And I was like, okay, you're clearly acting erratic. Like, I was like, this is, because after breaking up so many times, you're like, clearly there's something wrong here. It's not working. And I was like, I'm just going to remove myself from the situation, right? I'm in my car. I'm just going to drive away.
Good.
Nope. He puts his foot underneath my tire and he starts punching the window of my car, trying to break the glass. And he goes, if you back up, you're going to run my foot over. I'm going to call the cops on you. And I'm like, oh, great. So the cop is going to call his cop friends.
Yeah. And I've heard this story with women, and not that clearly not every cop is abusive, but I've heard when women are dating cops that are abusive, it's even hard. It's another layer because they have their cop friends and they can do whatever the fuck they want.
A lot of resources involved.
Yep. 40% of families with a cop in it will experience some sort of domestic or family violence.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it's a fact. And in that moment, you go, wow, I can't do anything, right? And like, even if I run his foot over and the cops get called, I'm like, okay, well, they're just going to take his side no matter what, even though he was preventing me from leaving, which is illegal.
This is a terrible situation.
Yeah.
You literally cannot win.
You can't win.
Staying is putting yourself in danger as well.
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to call 911. And I think I called it for maybe like 10 seconds when they like pulled the call up or whatever, or when they like had it on the report was like quick. And I was like, I have a quick question. If somebody's preventing me from leaving, is that illegal? Can I call the cops? And they said yes. And then I hung up because he's standing right there. Mm. And I started to back up and I ran over to him. He's like, fuck you. And he called 911 or called his corporal, whoever it was. And 4 cop cars showed up in my apartment complex.
Yep.
And they separated us both, took both of our statements. And the thing that boggles my mind is that in the report, I mean, I wrote a 3-page report. I read it. I've only read it one time because I cannot go back to it. Mm-hmm. But in the report, I say, I do not feel safe. He prevented me from leaving. I let them take screenshots of my text messages to him when I was leaving the party. And I said, you know, I forgot exactly what it said, but basically like, I don't want you to hurt me.
Yeah.
I wrote that out in a text message and they have screenshots with it on my report from that night. And they dismissed it. They never investigated him. They didn't do anything. Nothing came about it. And his corporal told him the only thing was that you need to stop dating her. So immediately, as soon as my lease was up that July, I moved out of Hillsborough County to Pasco County, where he had no jurisdiction over me. Because I thought, at least he can't drive by my house. He can't have his friends drive by my house. Like,
right.
I at least am a county away.
Smart.
So I moved to Pasco County, and like, he would star 67 call me just to scare me. Dude was fucking crazy. Like, legitimately crazy.
Clearly.
And so I went the worst. This is like not the peak. I don't know. What's the word?
Pinnacle?
Yes. Like the worst pinnacle. This is like me falling off of the fucking top of the mountain at this point.
Yeah.
Oof.
Is that I moved out to this other county. This is like months from this incident. And like, you know, we didn't have any contact, nothing. And I went out with some of my high school friends downtown Tampa, and one of my friends was like, can I stay at your house or my apartment? And I was like, yeah, of course, no worries. So we were leaving the bar and I saw him downtown. Well, in
working
Soho.
or civilian?
Civilian.
Okay.
The same fucking outfit he always wore.
Let's just throw that in there.
Like,
it was probably
they
hideous.
all look the same. Looks like every Brad, Chad, and David.
No one can touch Chai's fashion, by the way.
Yeah.
She's on another level.
I mean, it's hard. It's, God, I wish I could strangle this person. You know? It's like, but you know, I don't have to worry about it because he's no longer here.
That's correct.
He literally took care of that.
He took care of that for me.
Yeah.
Not making a joke about his death, but kind of, because it makes me feel better. But so I saw him out at the bar as I was getting into an Uber with my friend. And he's a male, and we had been friends for many years. But
also, you're right. Like, where this is even going is making me feel uncomfortable because you can be friends with whoever you want to be friends with.
I literally felt guilty getting in the car, like in the Uber with my guy friend.
Even though you weren't even with him at this point.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens to you too. You still are afraid of the person even when you're not with the person. It gives you anxiety.
Every time I went out.
Yeah.
Every time I went out, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to run into him. Oh my God, what if I do? Like, how do I get out of this? You know, like.
And you're nervous for your guy friend too. Like, what's he going to do to him?
Exactly.
With him.
Exactly.
Right.
So
that sucks.
we get in the Uber, and he puts his hand on the door and he yells into the Uber, and he's like, you're a fucking slut. You're a horrible person. Like, you're a bitch. Like, all just, you know, went off, right?
Great. Thank you. Good night.
And my guy friend's like, who the fuck is that? And I was like, oh, that's my crazy ex-boyfriend. And he's like, oh, and I was like, and he's a fucking cop. And I was like, so don't fucking say anything. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Even though he's off duty, I'm like, shut your fucking mouth. Close the door, head home. It's like 30-minute drive. We pull into my apartment complex, and lo and behold, guess who's behind me in his car? Is my crazy ex-boyfriend.
In a new county where he doesn't have jurisdiction.
Yep, and he was drinking and driving.
And how did he know where you even lived?
Followed the Uber. So we get to my apartment complex, and I see him behind me. I look at my friend. I go, listen. I was like, I need you to get your shit. When we get to my apartment, I need you to go inside. I need you to get your shit. I need you to go home. And he's like, why? And I go, trust me. I need you to go home. And so we get to my apartment. He's screaming at me, and he's like, who the fuck is this guy? And I was like, he's my friend. He's leaving. Like, don't worry about it. He's like packing his shit and leaving. Literally gets in his car and he fucking leaves. So I get inside my apartment, and he locks the door, and it was just like 6 to 8 hours that he was there. And it was just verbal abuse, like out the wazoo, right? He just went stir crazy, pacing around my apartment, which, by the way, he always carries. Even if he was drinking at a bar, the dude always had a gun. Always. And, which, like, I don't give a fuck if you have a gun. Everyone's right, you know? Just, like, do it in the right way with the laws and, you know, more background checks, please.
Right.
Yes. At the very least.
Yeah. And maybe, like, a therapist or two.
And maybe be
mental
sober
health check.
when you're
Yeah.
deciding to carry.
Yeah.
And, so I, was like, okay, what do I do? Like, what's my game plan here? Because he's clearly erratic. He's clearly scary. He's like here to hurt me. There's nothing that's good that's going to come out of this. So I was like, okay, if I can keep either my iPad, my phone, or my computer away from somewhere he can't see, then I'll at least have access to it. And I can tell somebody that like this is happening. First thing he does, he snatches all of my electronics and hides them somewhere in my house.
Including your cell phone?
Yep. No access to any communication at all. So then, I was like, okay, well, I had 2 dogs at the time, and I was like, all right, well, I need to let the dogs out. I've been gone all day. And in that moment, he grabs the back of my head with my hair and holds the gun to the side of my head and goes, if you say one word, if you try to run, if you try to scream, if you do anything, it's like, I will shoot your dogs in front of you. I will shoot you, and then I will kill myself. Dead ass. Looked me straight in the fucking eyes. And so I took both the dogs out downstairs, and he followed me the entire time. Like the entire time. So we get back upstairs, and then he locks me in the bedroom, just us two. And it was just beration. He would make me do sexual things for hours, and he would laugh at me while he made me do them. He would like taunt his like gun around. It was just like there was no end to it, and there was nothing I could do to make it stop. So it was just having to be complicit in everything until he somewhat calmed down. That included me apologizing, me begging, me taking the blame, like all of it. Because what do? I'm stuck. I have no communication. I can't run. Right.
You do what he says.
And so
while still trying to keep yourself sane.
And I'm like, oh my God, please, obviously don't kill my fucking dogs. I'm like, these are my children, you know?
Right.
I'm like, dogs, and then me, and then everything else. So
we do know this to be true about you.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And
your dog lives well.
They live very well. So he ended up falling asleep. I didn't. He left the next morning.
Well, how can you sleep after that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm talking like, and I sat there, and I'm like, the one time I try to leave, if I open the door, like
he's gonna hear.
It's gonna happen, right?
He's gonna hear you.
Right.
So he woke up the next morning, and he just left.
Thank God.
Just left. And
It's
I was
insane,
like,
right?
okay.
Like said nothing to you?
Said that. I mean, I wouldn't even remember, honestly. If
Right.
I said anything.
Right.
It's like violent narcissism.
Yeah. Oh my,
Yeah.
the most narcissistic person outside of my mother that I've ever met. I'm going to preface that with, I haven't spoken to my mom. I haven't spoken to my mom in like almost a year, so I can say that.
Okay.
And so after that, like, I mean, we were obviously super like traumatized and stuff. And, eventually when I met Sterling and stuff, he was still star 67 calling me just randomly. He would just randomly call me, and he's like, I know you're at the USF football game because I'm working off duty and I saw you. Or I would be at Sparkman Wharf, and he goes, my friend told me you were there. And I'm like, why the fuck are you even calling me to tell me that? Like, you're literally trying to instill fear in me still.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
it's just like, you can't escape. I couldn't escape him in any way. I would have to leave Tampa entirely.
He needed to do that to feel important.
Control. All that.
Yeah.
All of the things.
And like,
And so after that incident, you were obviously too fearful and knew he was like in.
yeah, like I couldn't come
So
forward.
you couldn't come forward. You couldn't tell. You couldn't report him because nothing would happen.
Nothing would happen. That's already been proven, right?
Correct.
And I did leave out one teeny tiny bit that I forgot to touch on, is that when he did call the cops to my first apartment, he did later come back and broke into my apartment with his other cop friend.
That's
No.
insanity.
Who was complicit in breaking
Yeah.
and entering.
Yep, just two cops breaking and
Right,
entering.
no big deal.
Just normal Tuesday or whatever.
Right.
And the only reason I know that is because after one of like the really bad nights that we had, I snuck out of bed and went to Walmart and bought a 2-pack of cameras with my last like $60 that I had in my bank account. And I set one of the cameras up like where the, like, you know what, it's gonna sound old, like a DVR. Like I hid it behind the DVR.
Yeah.
So like the red light would look like a part of the
Oh,
DVR.
Yeah,
smart.
And
This girl, she was
You're smart.
doing
You
it.
still
Well, I
have
was
your
like, if
like
you're gonna-
wits about you.
yeah, I'm like, if you're gonna hurt me again, at least I'm gonna get you on fucking camera this time,
Yeah.
bitch. Like,
Right.
Right.
and of course it didn't happen, but I did catch him breaking entering on my camera. And when he was there, he took my laptop and deleted all the evidence that I had
Wow.
of like all of the rug burns, the bruises, the black eye, like all of it. He went in there. I watched him do it, take it out of my
No.
room, open my laptop and delete all of it. All of it.
Mm.
So I didn't have any proof.
That's
I couldn't
devastating.
even come forward with
Yeah.
the things that actually happened.
Right, and of course he has the most knowledge of what you would need to be able to tell your story,
Exactly.
to be able to bring justice against him, and to be able to be believed.
Yep.
And
So, like-
then he took that away from you too.
Exactly.
We wanted left you powerless.
Literally, that was his whole goal.
Yeah.
was
Cool.
to leave me
you powerless.
powerless.
Yeah.
And like, I'm a very independent, strong-spoken,
Yeah.
like
You are.
Yes.
You
head
are.
bitch in charge kind of gal.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So for
Yeah.
someone to take away
Yeah.
or try to take away my power like that
Yeah.
was so uncharacteristic and happened so slowly over time that I didn't
Yep.
even realize I had lost
Yourself.
myself. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't like day to night. It was literally
Because like when I'm alone, I'm like, I'm still me. Like
Yeah.
all of my qualities are
Sure.
still here. I still think the same. My beliefs are the same. Like,
And
then
they're
just-
all kind of the same too. The men, like when I was in therapy for the longest time, and my therapist was a godsend because he actually, and I didn't know when I started going to him. I always say he saved my life. He specifically dealt in abusive situations, but he also was on the other end where he did the anger management for the men, and he basically would tell us they are all the same. They have the same lines.
Yeah.
They say the same things. They have the same behaviors, and they will not change.
Yep.
wow.
So they would say, like mine would say to me, you don't know who you are. I know who you are. And he would say that to me all the time. And I'd be like, no, I know who I am. No, this
Right.
is not you. That's not you. This is who you are.
Yep.
Because they want to take your power.
Yeah. Or they think that like they're going to make these adjustments to the person that you are and like create the person that they think you are and are trying to convince you that you are.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not actually these things. Like,
Right.
I'm going to show you what,
What
you
you
are.
are.
And
Yeah.
then you're going to learn to be that
Yeah.
person.
This is who you are.
Or you're just going
Wow.
to take it.
Right.
yeah.
But it doesn't happen like one day they walk in and you're like,
Right.
oh, you know, this is wrong
Right.
about you and
Yeah.
this is how you should act. Like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't fucking happen like that.
Which is
Like,
why I always say to people, why don't you just leave? Well, some people do have kids. Well, some people, it's slowly over time. And like my therapist said, it's not bad 24/7.
mhm.
It's the cycle. It's the cycle of what I recall, because I have a whole notebook that we would have to go through, like a textbook of love bombing.
Mhm.
Everything's fine. You think, oh, okay, well, maybe they can change. Well, maybe
Right.
they because they
A little
apologize.
glimmer. Just a little glimmer in
Glimmer
there.
of hope.
Mm.
Everything is going okay. And then slowly the shift.
Yep.
You start working at Chelsea again. You start minding. You notice their
Walking
attitude
on
is shifting.
eggshells.
Oh no, you shut up and you just do.
You do whatever you need to do,
Do
in
whatever
order
you
to
need to
avoid
do.
conflict.
And then the conflict happens, whether that's.
And then you're like, oh my God, I did it.
I did it. The
It's
physical,
me.
the sexual, whatever it is,
It's
happens
my
again.
problem. I created it.
Yep.
I'm sorry I did that to
I'm
you.
sorry. You're apologizing all the time, which I'm
Ugh.
still working on.
Yeah,
So-
right?
so-
Yeah.
Yes, I always say to just,
Yes.
no sorries.
Yes.
Yeah,
No sorry.
that's like one thing I'm so glad I've never been like, you know, I don't want to say I never say sorry. I'm really bad at apologizing. But I never.
That's so great.
I know. I never became an I'm sorry person.
Good.
Yes, that's
And
so
I don't know
amazing.
if it's because it like tainted my mouth.
Yes.
Like of like saying it all the time.
Right.
No, I'm still bad about it.
Yeah,
I'm
now
way
I'm
better,
just
but
like-
I'm bad.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, like my bad.
Yeah.
Or I just never go like, unless I really fucking hurt you, you're never gonna get a I'm sorry.
Right.
Because
Well, I also think women say that entirely too much.
Women in
sorry
general.
for existing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Sorry for
Or-
taking up this space
Oh
in
my
this chair.
god, the space
yeah.
I created. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess fast forward a little bit, and how did you eventually get through that to get to the person who you are today, because that's a lot of trauma. Was it therapy? Was it like, how long did it take you to kind of heal and pull through and know that, hey, I'm healing. I'm on my way to healing.
And also was Sterling,
And-
your
yeah.
now husband,
Mhm.
Yeah. Who's
a
so
part of that in
amazing.
any way?
So regretfully, to inform everybody, I did not go to therapy.
Okay.
Working on it. I have,
And that's
I
okay.
have-
Everyone has
Well,
their own journey.
and that's why she said,
Yeah,
how did you
how?
get through
Yeah.
it?
How did you get through
So
it?
like
Yeah.
I stopped going to therapy when I was like 6 when my parents got divorced, and I hated my therapist so much that like
Well, that
therapy, like,
kind of,
scarred
yeah,
me.
sure.
Well, that was your experience with
Yeah.
therapy.
And you're like, no.
Exactly. So
right.
and
Yeah.
like I did find a therapist recently, and then she dumped me. So
She dumped you?
dumped
How?
me. She just stopped responding to my emails. Yeah.
What?
That's so super unprofessional.
So I'm on my third.
Oh,
third
no.
Okay.
But yeah, so my
Maybe we
healing.
need to make some referrals for Chai.
Yes.
If anybody's got a really good trauma
Oh
therapist,
my
Actually,
definitely
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, we-
I'll take it.
we definitely
I
have
got you.
resources.
Yeah.
But no, my healing journey, honestly, I think it was because I ended up overcoming something, and for me, like I like a challenge, and I like competition. So challenging myself to be honest with myself about what happened and like not live in denial.
Mhm.
I'm like, this did happen, like this, and it sounds fucked up, but I always tell people like, honestly, I'm glad it happened to me and not to somebody else, because I don't know if somebody else could have lived through what I went through and
Yeah.
came out on the other side.
Definitely.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's just because I came from a single mom household. Like I was just independent person and very strong. I don't know if that's why. Obviously I buried that shit real deep because I had to, because I couldn't say anything. Right.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there was no position for me to
No.
really talk about it.
Right.
All of my close friends knew, my main family knew. But the healing journey took 6-7 years because I couldn't speak
Yep.
about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I told Sterling right off the bat, I was like, listen, my last relationship, really, really bad. I'm like, so
you're basically starting at the top here, Sterling.
yeah. Yeah. So I went from like a real fucking low to a real fucking high.
Sterling, yeah.
Amen. We
Shout
love
out to the
Sterling.
husband.
Shout out.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's the best.
But one of the things that helped in my healing journey now, obviously like the video coming out and like seeing
Yes.
everyone's positive comments, and it's connected me to a lot of resources. It's a lot of people have confided in me, which obviously like takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
So like that whole month was just like very draining, but beautiful. Is that when I met with the St. Augustine detectives, they actually came down to Tampa because once I released my video, obviously the entire like police force had seen it, because that's, you know, a big thing to say,
Yeah.
Sure.
like an accusation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that the St. Augustine detectives came down to Tampa to take my in-person statement, and they go, honestly, you're the reason we figured out this case. And I go, what do you mean? They go, everything that you said in your video is exactly what we found, if not almost identical to what happened at the house. And they're like, we thought that somebody had leaked any sort of information to you, because we had no idea what happened. We wouldn't have figured out what happened to her or why he was this way or anything.
That gives me chills.
I know, me too.
It's still
It's,
like,
it's full circle.
it still gives me
It's
like,
full circle, and it's like the power of your telling.
Wow.
You just never.
You never know.
You never know.
and I sat there and I was like, I like wanted to like throw up everywhere, because I was just
Sure.
like, what? I mean, that wasn't what I expected at all.
Sure.
Mhm.
I just wanted their family to know that like he has always been a bad person.
Yeah.
And they told me that she tried to leave and she was breaking up with him, and that's probably why.
Yep.
And I've spoken to the dad, and obviously they're devastated. Her two brothers are both in the police force. Like they were, yeah. All three of them were.
If he wasn't alive, I'm very sure that those brothers would have killed
100%
themselves. Would have killed them.
Yep.
And so when I went on the news and like did my piece about it, really, really wonderful news reporter. Shout out Kylie.
We like Kylie.
She was so wonderful and presenting the story the way that I wanted to. That was accurate. But she went and requested documents from Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Like once I told her about like how he came to my house and the cops came about, I was like, there's definitely a police report out there.
Yep.
Good. So she did the work.
So she requested
did the work,
it.
yeah.
Good.
And I was like, oh, I can't do that because
No.
oof.
Yeah, no.
Right.
And she emailed it over to me, so I got to read everything. And she goes, "Can I give you a call?" I go, "Yeah." And she calls me and she goes, "I just want to let you know right now, if you didn't tell the part about how he came to your apartment and called 911, she goes, they moved that police report to a separate file. It wasn't even in his personal file.
Damn.
They specifically took that out and put it in a different file so that he would have nothing on his record
trace.
in his file."
Bullshit.
It's so sad. It's so disheartening to
And
hear.
I'm like, it's just like, you can't fucking win. And the fact that this is not,
and
this is
her
not
life
an
could have
abnormality.
been, it's not an abnormality.
This happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Happens all the time. And it happens with cops all the fucking time.
And I'm
Not saying all
sorry,
cops
but
are
like
bad,
blood
but
is on their hands.
It is.
The blood's on their hands because her life could have been saved.
Yeah. And that's what everyone's mad about. And I specifically was like, hey, listen, like, I'm sorry I never came out and said anything because I probably could have saved her life. And honestly, people were like, no, because you saved yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, and you came forward and you told your story, however
absolutely.
you needed to do it. But like,
and the timing wasn't right. And back then, nothing was going to happen. Nothing would have come of it. You would have been
You
more of a
wouldn't have
target.
been able to.
You wouldn't have been able to. So
No, you wouldn't have been able to.
and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, department, whatever, has still to this day not released a photo of his face.
Unbelievable.
You will find hundreds of pictures of her online about her,
It's
you
so
know,
disgusting.
her
It's so
her
disgusting.
deceased, whatever. But if you type in his name, you will not find a
Nothing.
photo. They have wiped everything from it. His
Disgusting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, in order for me to even prove that I dated him, I had to literally dig through like 2 different laptops to find the one photo I didn't delete.
Picture.
Or that he didn't delete.
Yeah.
He didn't delete. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So disgusting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it goes into how mentally unhealthy was he,
Right.
and how and why how is he not getting help?
Yeah.
How is he even put in a powerful position that he was put into?
But so many are. There's no mental.
This is a leadership position that
Yes.
is so important,
Mhm.
and they're trusting people's lives with someone who is literally mentally unstable.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
It's just like, it
And
is
that's
what
just
it is.
one.
That's
one
right,
person.
one example.
of across the board
Yeah.
of how
There's no formal
horrible it
training.
is. Yeah.
Like, to be a cop, you gotta pass a fucking physical, and you gotta do like
Where's the mental check? Where's the
X
mental
amount
health
of
check?
hours. And the thing that really bothers me about it is that there's no requirement for like extra courses or whatever, like follow up learning and stuff.
And it's
like,
frowned upon for them to get therapy.
Yeah.
I've heard like you get basically made fun of,
Mhm.
and which is part of the reason I this is what I've heard from another cop. That is why they see so much shit.
so much
shit, and they internalize, and so that's it.
Right.
They take it out because they're not getting help.
Because they don't have an outlet.
They have no outlet,
And
and
it's
so
not mainly to get therapy.
and it's not. We're not going to get
Or
therapy
to cry.
Or to cry.
and
Yeah.
so we're going to get made fun of if anyone in the department finds out that we utilized the therapy that we
Right.
quote unquote have for you.
Right.
Like, what are you, a pussy? Like,
Right.
you know, kind of deal.
One of the things that the news reporter pointed out to me, actually, it's not even the St. Augustine detectives. They go, well, the fact that he contacted you, like outside, like he
right.
wasn't even like there for your actual call, but the fact that he took your information and contacted you, they're like, that's the number one thing that they should have taken him, like suspended him or taken him off the force, because that's an abuse of power right
It's
off the bat.
insane, yeah, and nothing was done.
They're like, the way he started that relationship
Yeah.
was against the rules.
It's insane.
Mhm.
So like, not only was that one fault there, second fault was the police report and not doing anything.
Yeah.
The third thing was like them not investigating him at all, promoting him actually.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He got a promotion after that?
He did. He got promoted to detective.
Wow.
It's so sick. It really is.
It just and
I'll tell you too, when I was in my therapy group as well, that a lot of the women who had been abused, when they called the cops, were the ones arrested, because you snap, and if you get physical and fight back, a lot of the men know the laws and they know the rules, so it's very easy for them to be, I'm going to call the cops. You attacked me.
Right.
They get arrested and sent to anger management. I had a very close friend of mine. Her husband almost choked her to death, choked her on the ground, was choking her. She ran out of the house with the baby because the baby was right next to her screaming. She ran out of the house with the baby, was clearly irate and everything like that.
Because she almost fucking died. He called the cops to say that she was crazy right off the bat. She spent the night in jail.
Oh my God.
This is how fucked up the system is. And when I sat in that therapy group and I listened to like your story and these women's stories, I'm just like, how do we change this?
And there's no database or registry for domestic violence. Like people who have committed domestic violence, there is no database or registry. Because half of it would be filled with fucking cops. Sorry, but it's true. Like, and you can't, they don't want to put their own people on there.
Nope.
That's the reason it doesn't exist. There's no other reason for it.
Right.
And like, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is. There's an internal problem, a hard fucking problem with our law enforcement. Like, there are phrases out there like, you know, the ones about firefighters and cops.
Cops beat.
Yeah. And like,
no. He's a firefighter.
and I work with law enforcement.
Yeah.
No, I get it though. I totally understand. It's unfortunate that there are these bad apples within the organizations that ruin it for everybody else.
And like the problem
really
and like one of the big problems is that no one speaks up.
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah, sure, there may be like one bad apple out of, 20, but if you let that apple sit in the rest of you, all y'all are going to be rotten.
Right.
You have to keep other men accountable. I don't give a fuck if it's your best friend. I don't give a fuck if it's somebody you work with. Like, there are things that are tolerable and things that are not. Like, and any sort of violence in any sense, whether that is mental, emotional, physical, financial, in any sense, is not something that is excusable in any sense. And if somebody around you is doing something like that to anybody, whether that is a man, woman, child, whatever, like, it's your fucking job to speak up. I'm sorry. Like, the amount of people who sit back and just watch this shit ride out, I have started bar fights over this. Like, I have been willing to go to jail for random people because nobody does anything.
Well, especially in careers that are your sole purpose is to protect.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That is it.
That's it. Like, period.
Right.
I don't understand how somebody gets into that. And like, I mean, I just,
that could be
we have a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work to do in the system, in all system, in every area of the system. But what I love about you so much is that how strong you are, that you unbelievably came out of it healthy, because usually what happens is you get into another unhealthy relationship because it's what you know.
Right.
And you don't know red flags. Like when I was going through my lots of group therapy, we were literally taught like children red flags.
Yeah.
Given a handbook of red flags. Even
you had homework.
Yes, we had lots of homework.
I love homework.
One of my homeworks. That's not a word. I'm so smart. One of my homeworks.
All of my homework.
All of my homework was to go even out to eat alone because I was. It's a weird thing,
right?
But I thought, wait. I'm not the only one who I think that this is weird. No, all of the women in the group were terrified to go out to eat alone.
You've been treated the exact same way by the exact same type of profile of person.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so it's just a crazy time. But I love how you are so strong. Like, you're such a pillar of like absolute just strength and like a strong bitch. And I say bitch in the most.
Bitch is an endearing term.
Enduring word. Like, you're one of the literal mentally strongest bitches that I am so honored to know.
Now she's gonna make me cry.
But it's so true. Like,
and being strong is hard.
it's fucking
It
hard.
is fucking hard.
It's hard.
And like, it's the world's biggest compliment to be a strong bitch.
Yes.
But like,
But it's hard to be a strong
it
bitch.
is hard to be a strong bitch.
Well, the weight on your shoulders is heavy.
Yeah.
Your what you're carrying is heavy. The people you're supporting, that becomes heavy.
Yeah.
And I think it's also because you know that like other women are looking at you
Right.
as an example.
Yeah. And it's like also at times like I'm soft as baby shit on the inside, y'all. I'm a through and through cancer, people. I am hard on the outside and I am
So
soft
is
as baby
Devin.
I get it. I understand.
So
Yeah.
funny.
So it's like I always want to be that person for my people, you know?
And you
like,
are.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it's also so rewarding. And like, obviously there are good days and bad days.
Yep.
And some days, like I will wake up from a night terror and like it just happens. Or like, I still get that pit in my stomach when I see a cop car or, you know, there are still those things.
There's
and,
always
like,
going to be lingering. I
there's
think that
always
you're going to
going
fight
to.
through for the rest of your life, that I even get anxiety about the
Yeah.
weirdest shit. So I think it's always going to be there. It's something you're always fighting.
Mhm.
How did you transition into your new relationship with Sterling? Because Sterling is so loving and kind.
Gosh,
and
he's
like,
such a beautiful
how
human.
did he
Ugh.
like embrace all of this with you? Because some men would be like, nope,
Right.
Like this is too much.
Yeah.
too much.
I'll be
The
over
words
here.
too much.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually, too much is the perfect way to put it. If a man ever tells you that you're too much or that something is too much,
Yeah, he's not
you can
it.
fucking go.
And this is why we love you, because you
Because-
say
Right.
what you mean.
I mean, honestly, like, he's probably got a lot of shit that is too much.
Yep.
So, no. I told Sterling, like, right off the bat, I've always been very open and honest. Like, some people call me abrasive. That's fine. And I'm just like, this is what's happened in my life. This is where I stand. I don't have time for the gray area. I don't have time for shit. I do not have the time. I have wasted this amount of energy, effort, pain, suffering. I do not have any of that to give anymore. And like, unless you were going to fulfill me in positive, good ways and support me through and through, like, that's it. Like, that's all I'm willing to accept from you. And
So good.
he was willing to do that. And I don't want to say he held my hand through all of it, but he was just like, what do you need from me and how can I be there for you? And I was like, okay, well, let me think about that because
I don't
even know myself.
Right.
Because that's
I
the first
don't
time
know.
anyone's asked me that question.
Right.
Right.
Like, when's the last time somebody asked you, like, what can I do for you? Or how do you need me? Like, that's such a,
That's beautiful.
It's a powerful
yeah.
thing.
And he's always done a wonderful job. He fulfills me in all the areas that I need. He's a very wonderful, optimistic, positive person. And like, I live my life at like a 6. Like, I wake up and I stay to 6. He wakes up, he's at a 10. He's the yin to my yang in that sense. But having a partner that chooses you every single day and like, I always tell him this is kind of fucked up, but like, I will never need you. I'm actively choosing you. I will always be myself and I will always be me independently. And I am actively choosing you every day to ride with me. Like, you are my partner, like husband, wife, whatever. Like, you are my partner. And that is the word I choose because we choose each other every day and we do the things we need to do to make that relationship work. And that's
Love
it.
that.
Like, and that should be your fucking baseline. Like,
Right.
if you don't have somebody that views you as an equal and doesn't use the word partner,
Then they're not it.
you need to have that conversation. Like,
Yeah.
is that person your partner? Is that person there for you in all the ways that they actually say they are? Because there's a lot of fluff in the world. There's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of love bombing. There's a lot of empty promises. And like, if those things aren't being fulfilled and the words are not matching up with the actions or vice versa.
No, we want to see action.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you deserve that.
I would prefer them not to say it and just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
it's just very hard for me now to like watch my friends who get in relationships with people and like they're settling. And it may not even be abusive in a sense, but like I feel like letting somebody
It doesn't have to be abusive.
yeah, but I feel like letting somebody
Right.
down, not loving them fully, not living up to those promises, like is a form of just like neglect. And if you neglect something for a long period of time, that turns into abuse in a sense.
And it's so disappointing. We were having this discussion at lunch yesterday about making the choice in every aspect of your life, from the hard choice,
Mhm.
the hard decision. Just because a situation isn't bad
Right.
doesn't mean that's a reason to stay.
Yeah.
Correct.
We had that conversation with Kel,
Right.
who left a relationship because she finally found the strength, because she was like, everything's fine, but this
But
little
do you want fine?
voice inside
Right.
me going, but
Yeah.
something is something.
Yeah.
And
And
so
she
it takes,
left.
right, she did leave, and it took a lot of courage, which Jen acknowledged,
Mm-hmm.
because what she wants to do is go from good to great.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. And
Good
then
is good, but it's like you're looking for great. Go for great, dude.
go for great.
Go for great. Like you're setting your own bar, and you can keep raising the bar, you know?
Correct.
Like,
right, because now we're at great. Now we're gonna be epic.
yeah, exactly. Like you
Right.
can always increase your bar, but like,
Yes.
don't ever not reach that bar, you know? Like that's terrible English, but like if your bar is 100% and you're getting 60, like why the fuck are you not getting 100?
Thank you.
Have that conversation. If they don't
Mhm.
want to have that conversation, ooh, hate to break it to you, you might not be the thing for you, and that's okay, you know?
Mhm.
But
Exactly.
I do want to touch on the point that relationships are supposed to be symbiotic. And so many parents and people or elders, older people, are not having conversations with younger kids these days about healthy relationships. Everything is very much online. And like, I know I love the internet. Sterling's got 2 14-year-old sisters. I'm with it. I get it. But no one's having conversations on what relationships should be, what healthy relationships are, about how, you know, someone dictating areas of your life, neglecting you, maybe not using the right words, keeping you a secret from other people. Like if someone's keeping you a secret,
that
you are
big red flag.
Big red flag. Like if they don't want to, if they
Show
do
you
not want to
off.
shout you from the roof, they got to go.
Even on social media.
Even on social media. Yeah, listen, Sterling didn't post me on social media for like 6 months, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I better see a post the next week, otherwise I'm out, dude. Because,
I better see it.
And I bet you he posted
and he did.
because he
did.
knows you're not a shit talker.
I was like, listen, I'm proud of myself. Sorry you're not proud of me. You don't want to show me off. And he was like, damn.
He was like making the post now.
He was like, can you send me your preferred photos?
What was his reasoning? Did he just not think about it?
The beginning of our relationship was a little like,
Oh,
rock-
he wasn't
rocky.
sure. He wasn't sure.
yeah, he wasn't sure he wanted to jump like head first into
Oh.
like
He didn't want to
all
hard
of
send
this.
it.
But you only
Right.
have one way of being.
And I was like,
Right.
listen, dude, no gray area.
right.
Here we
right.
go. And it's been
Yeah.
that way ever since, you know. I'm just like, this is what we're doing. He's like, I'm game. Like, he's all for it. But
great.
yeah, like, I strongly encourage everybody, if you have a little sister, if you have a mom, an aunt, people who are dating, people in current relationships, like, check in on them on their relationships, observe them. Even if it's in a good way, like compliment them on their relationships. Like, hey, I love how,
That's
you
a
know,
good point.
you and so talk to each other.
Yeah, it's a great
Or
point.
I think this is really healthy, or I admire that about you guys, because
Right.
the more you talk about the healthy relationships, they're going to do more of it, and then they're going to be better examples.
Yes.
People are very afraid to point out bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're very, for some reason, I don't know why, but it's like
Well,
a
because
weird.
it feels like conflict.
Yeah,
Right.
people
Yeah.
just want to like stay out of it or not point out, hey, he could be a little controlling, or hey, this is odd. This
Right.
seems odd to me.
Like, hey, girl, haven't seen you in a while. Everything
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
We
it's
need to
not,
do more
I'll
of
be right
that.
here, you know?
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just really hard for me now just to watch
Well, sure. What you've been
lack
through.
of, lack of education on what a good
Yeah,
relationship is.
yeah.
And people settling, especially young girls,
Yeah.
you know? Oh, drives me insane.
I think sometimes the young girls, though, there's just not the maturity there. It was, you know, for me, it was, I was as a teenager, it was lack of maturity. It definitely lack of maturity
Mhm.
and having no idea. And then was in it for so long that I just
Right.
thought it was normal.
Right.
I also think that like confidence plays a big part of that.
Huge.
Lack of it,
Yeah.
not knowing what that even feels like
I know.
because you don't have that growing up potentially.
Especially now with all the interwebs these children's got nowadays.
Oh,
you
No,
know?
you're-
Woo!
So unhealthy.
I know. I don't follow
Mhm.
like a lot of things because I'm like, this is going to be toxic.
Yeah, for my
mind,
mentality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, and also for anybody listening that is out there who may not be in a great situation, there is a really wonderful website called DV Safe, and it is a website where you can create an email basically, and you upload any evidence that you have, and it goes to their third-party cloud service that is not accessible via web at all, and they will not access your information if your partner calls.
That's amazing.
And they will only access it if you authorize them if you file a police report. You know what I mean? Like if you get the police involved, then they will access that information. But you can keep uploading stuff as long as you want. And it'll just live there.
What's the website?
DV Safe.
Yeah, we'll put it
we'll link it.
on.
Yeah,
we'll link
it's a great little website. Some guy saw my story, reached out on LinkedIn and was like, I'm starting this company.
Nice.
And I was like,
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And if you are in a relationship with a cop and you are scared to go to your local police department, if you reach outside of your county, they will have to do an internal investigation no matter what, because it is outside. So if I lived in Hillsborough County and I contacted Pasco County will reach out to Hillsborough County and they will have to investigate that person.
Oh, that's great.
And
Good to know.
I learned that from the St. Augustine detectives.
Okay.
dvsafe.org.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's super.
Because I know it's scary and obviously like having all that evidence and stuff, it can get lost or deleted. But
Right.
even if you have that one person, like, and you tell them not to act on it, but having someone that does know that something is wrong could save your life.
Yeah.
You know, I could have told my girlfriend and been like, listen, this relationship is not safe. I can't tell you much more about it. But if I need you, I will have a code word. You know, easier said than done, but those are, you know, some tidbits of information.
That's great, because there's a lot of women who honestly feel stuck in this situation. They don't know how to get out. In my situation, he was in the church.
Love the church.
And so that was
Roll cry.
A total different layer, another layer like a cop, but a totally different layer of feeling like, well, I'm here. Absolutely nobody's going to believe me.
No, zero people in his church will believe you.
No, it's the church.
It's the church.
Right.
And he is this amazing figure, and everyone thinks he's amazing, and he's so great. So
talk about a good marketing campaign.
Oh God, the church. Such a good marketing campaign. Where, you know, he has people healing from trauma from that, from the church, which is unfortunate.
You have like layers. You got the religious side. You've got
layers,
you know,
layers.
like an onion.
So it's good to know that there's those sites up there, because there are women who want to leave, but they don't know how to leave, and they do take pictures.
Yeah.
Because I think one day when I leave, one day I'll get the courage to leave. Yeah. And they have these pictures, and they could be deleted. So that's a great resource.
Yeah. Or even women. Setting up like a fake email within a fake email. You know, like if you create a fake Gmail and then link that to another Gmail, so it's 2 layers. You're like, oh, this is my only one fake email. Right. At least you have your backup. It's a little more difficult to do if you're being like watched. And one of the things that is really sad now is that a lot of the domestic violence shelters sometimes you're either completely full, they don't accept young kids, and they don't accept pets.
Like, how can you not accept young kids or pets? Like,
a lot of places don't accept animals, and people like me, like, those are my kids. Leave. I'm not fucking leaving. I'm sorry.
That makes it even harder to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, in the works one day, I would love to open or fund or be a part of a shelter that's all inclusive, all welcoming, right? People of all gender identities, ages, pets, whatever.
Well, we'll circle back to that, because Jen and I are doing a lot of work with women this next year. Wellness, which includes mental health. But you know, another thing that just kind of like went into my brain when you said everyone is welcome. Let's not forget that men can also be the victims of domestic violence.
For sure.
You know, and
we're not discrediting any men.
Yes, we're not.
Right. We're just sharing, you know, personal stories.
Yes.
Right. But, you know, that makes it in some cases even harder to find resources and help.
I can't even imagine being a man trying to call a domestic violence shelter and like, what
are you talking about?
Right. We just need to do more in general. And the fact that, you know, you're sharing your story is so important. Thank you. Because, you know, like Jen said, you never know what someone is dealing with at home. you know, when you see people and meet them out in the world, they're wearing a mask. We all do it.
Yep.
You know, and that's fine.
Or sunglasses and a long sleeve.
Yeah.
Or sunglasses and a long sleeve.
Yeah, you never know. It's
Right.
behind the clothes or sunglasses,
Right.
people.
And you never know what's behind like a cute posed Instagram post.
No,
Correct.
never.
Right. You never know.
Correct.
Correct.
hmm So moving forward, what's your one focus for this year and how can we support you?
That's so tough because I just want to do all the things.
I was just going
We
to say,
do
because
too.
you're doing 1 million things.
You're doing 1
Yeah.
million.
Now I want to start
feel,
a podcast.
We feel that.
We love that.
Yeah.
I always wanted to start one, but I just feel like I don't have the capacity right now.
I know a producer.
Yeah.
I saw that follow on Instagram.
He's great.
No, I would love to do more actually like speaking. I got asked to do a keynote event
That's awesome.
in Pasco County, but I was in Africa at the time.
Mm.
But I was like, you know, please, like if at any point, like I would love to continue to speak
Yes.
and do this just because I feel like coming from a young person that's hip and with it,
Yeah.
you know, with no kids, who came from that kind of background and stuff. I think me sharing my story in this sense opens a lot of doors because I'm young and it happened, you know, at such a young age and now I'm in a healthy relationship and
Yeah.
I really want to hone in on talking to young girls
Yeah.
and women.
Right.
There's just such a lack there.
Yeah.
Resonate a little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, if like
Yeah.
Susan, who's 62, comes in and shares her story. No offense, Susan, who's 62. I don't think the 12-year-olds are going to
Right.
get it.
Of course.
You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I want to do more in that sense. That's something that I would really love to. I just don't know how to, you know.
Well, you're putting it out there. I mean,
Yeah.
this is one way. The podcast is one way. We you know, you're speaking it. We all know
Right.
manifest.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot of
Manifesting.
people. We should.
I am
like
healthy. I am wealthy.
Yes,
I-
yes,
We are
We are
happy.
smoke shows.
We are.
She remembers it.
No, don't put me on the spot with that. That's our mantra. We are healthy.
That
we
is
are
our
wealthy.
mantra. We are happy. We are healthy. We are wealthy.
and
We are smoke shows.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
That's
we will
great.
link you also with our friend Gilly,
Yeah.
who lives in the Virgin Islands, who is a boss babe, and she is starting Lioness Academy, teaching young girls
Yeah. Yes.
all about how to feed their bodies, how to feed their souls, how to feed their minds, how to live healthily.
And
That's a
definitely,
word.
definitely, you're coming with us on
Yes.
one of our
On one of our trips.
Trips.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
I know.
that we're
R&B, rumble and biscuits.
yeah,
Rest
Rumble
and
Biscuit.
breathe.
Rest and breathe. Yeah, we're gonna do trips like not through Trova that are gonna be more. Trova is kind of our experimental.
Yeah,
like
that
when
was
we're
like
going
our
to
little-
Egypt, but we
our
want
little
to start
beta
our
test.
own.
I want to do a like a retreat in
Yeah.
like the rainforest and do
We're
Stay
doing
last.
Costa Rica.
What's the trippy drug they do?
Oh yes,
I want that.
yes.
Devin wants to come on that trip too.
Devin,
Yeah.
I actually
Oh,
might
film
come.
it.
I will come on that trip with you
Yeah,
because I am
wanna do
interested
it.
in that
I'm
as
not
well.
condoning the use of drugs, but I will do it.
And we're all about
If
talking
Chelsea
about
Handler did
psychedelics.
it, I'm gonna do it.
We're talking about. It's okay
Yeah.
talking about psychedelics because I believe in that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Mushrooms and weed, man.
They are healing.
They are
Yeah, they're
healing,
healing.
from the earth. If
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know the big man universe upstairs didn't want, he wouldn't made it.
That's true.
Yes.
There's a great Netflix documentary.
Yes, actually
I think
on
it's
it.
Change Your Mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
change your mind.
It's
great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good.
Mhm.
That's-
So yeah, Costa Rica is one of our places that we're going to be
I
doing
would
a
love that
retreat.
'cause I
so
love
yeah.
sloths too.
Ooh, okay. Well, let's make this
Let's
happen.
make it happen.
Too. Who wants to go on a wellness retreat with us three?
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
Oh, us three want to go with
Everybody
ourselves.
there.
And Devin. Devin wants to come. Devin's coming.
This is an open invite.
Yes,
so
open invite.
It is.
This is great. Thank you so much for sharing your
course.
time, your
course.
story.
Sorry.
Anytime,
It's
guys.
so great.
Anytime.
Sterling, we love you. We can't wait to see
Yes.
you.
Shout out Sterling.
Shout out
Shout out
Sterling.
Really quickly, we call him Festival Daddy because Shy and Sterling introduced me to festivals. Then I included Nicole in the festival life, and Sterling, if you're going to go to festivals with anybody,
Yeah.
It's with you
it's
too.
with them too
Yeah.
because they are adult festival
Yes.
organizers.
Everybody gets an itinerary PDF.
PDF.
I'm your rave mom. I've got all of your
Yeah.
essential needs.
No man left behind.
Yes.
Nope.
This is also an open invitation. If nobody's festivaled before,
Your first time going. Yes.
we do allow newbies, but you gotta be part of that plur life. You know, it's a very healing experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Festivals are a very healing
I agree.
experience. So if you don't want to go do drugs in the jungle,
Yeah.
you can come to a festival.
Don't willy-nilly it on your own.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Drugs in Okeechobee.
Yeah, no.
He gets it.
Yeah. We're not free balling
No.
festivals.
Don't
We're not
try
raw
to-
dogging festivals.
Would not recommend.
No, would not recommend raw dogging a festival on your own. Absolutely not.
You need your festival mama, your
Oh my
festival
God,
daddy.
You do.
Good to end on a high note.
That is
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We are so happy to have
So
you.
happy.
This has been great. Thank you.
Of course.
And end scene.